Hi, I'm Lois and welcome to my channel. Today I'll be sharing with you 8 social norms that I ditched prior to retiring early as a school teacher in my late 30s. Stick around until the last one because I think that's the most surprising one of all. The first social norm that I ditched was stop attending after school and work-related social gatherings. These gatherings that I found were a petri dish of gossip and personal stories that I didn't really need to hear, and also a waste of money and time. Oftentimes we would gather in restaurants and we would have to pay for drinks and food, and many times these gatherings lasted for hours, and so we kept ordering more food, and my pocketbook wasn't happy about that. At the end of the gatherings, I would ask myself questions such as, did I get a higher pay for attending that? Did my relationship with my coworkers deepen? Did I get some type of benefit from attending that social gathering? Or did I lose my mind and money for attending that social gathering? The more I thought about it, the more I realized I wasted time and money attending these gatherings, so I quit attending them altogether. The second social norm that I ditched was working past my contracted hours. So as a school teacher, my contracted hours were 7:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. As soon as I was able to leave, I left. I locked my doors and I left. If any students needed help, they needed to ask me during school hours. Contracted hours for teachers was about 30 minutes before the bell rang in the morning and 30 minutes after the bell rang after school. So during those times, you would do lesson planning, grade papers, enter grades, contact parents, and so forth. And I would pack all of my work that I had to do for that day within those hours and nothing more. In my early days of teaching, when I was just starting out my career, I used to bring a bin filled with student work to grade at home. And basically after school, I would be grading for hours. Well, a few years before I retired, I realized I needed my sanity. I need to be able to spend time with my family. I need a work-life balance. So that's what I did. I said, enough is enough. School hours, my contracted hours, are the times that I would be doing my work. And after that would be time spent with my family, my children, my husband, and any other recreational activities. It doesn't matter what line of work you're in. If a company is employing you to do something, you need to show up for those hours. And you need to do the best you possibly can for those hours. However, when your pay stops at a certain time, you need to drop everything. You need to go home, take a break, eat a meal, go do something that makes you happy. And don't think about the work. Leave that behind. That's probably one of the better social norms that I ditched. The third social norm that I ditched was participating in small talk and trying to be in the circle. Many of you know what I mean. You see the group of people who are climbing up that ladder, who have insight as to what your company is going to do next, what their steps are next, who have relationships with people in the higher ups. And sometimes you want to be in that circle. Well, I ditched that social norm. I didn't care. What was announced at meetings was what I took from it, and I didn't want to know any further. I didn't want to participate in the day-to-day small talk that could waste my time and energy and possibly put me down a rabbit hole. So that's something that I set aside. When I was first starting out my career, I wanted to know everything. I wanted to be in the inside circle with the top dogs. But after a while, that wore off. I didn't care because my pay didn't increase, my meals didn't get better, and my experiences working didn't get better. So if it didn't add value to my life, I didn't want to participate in it, and small talk was one of those things. The fourth thing I ditched was dressing up for work, dressing in professional attire as a teacher. Now, the first couple of years, I did dress up. I dressed nicely. I spent a lot of time on my hair and makeup so I can be presentable. But then I realized, after a few years, none of that mattered. Over time, I had a large collection of school polos and shirts that were provided by the schools. I just started wearing those to school every single day of the week. It was a different shirt every day of the week. And I did the laundry in the weekend, and I'd have a fresh new wardrobe of clothing to wear for the following week. I didn't have to spend my weekends shopping for clothing to look presentable. I just wore those school tops and they were fine. In all honesty, the time that I would have spent shopping for clothing and shoes was spent on lesson planning for my children, for my students who really needed good lessons every single day. So that's where I transferred my time from shopping to planning. And that worked out real well for me. Because eventually I was able to get a teaching position in one of the top paying districts in all of California with the lowest cost of living, which helped me retire. The fifth social norm that I ditched was trying to find people to find answers to questions that I had. In the early days of my teaching career, I would run around the hallways looking for other teachers to answer my questions regarding the online platform we were using or teaching strategies that would work. However, after about 6 years, I started picking up the phone and calling their extension numbers or sending a simple email to get a response quickly. I found that getting an answer quickly was just a phone call away. I would never leave voice messages, and I also would never listen to voice messages. People learned my ways of communication, and it worked out great for me. So that's something that I ditched. The sixth social norm that I ditched was eating off campus. The amount of time and energy and money that was spent eating off campus with the very limited amount of time I had during lunch was not worth it. For instance, I'd have to get in my car, drive to wherever I was going to eat, stand in line at the place, wait for my food to come out, grab it and take it into my car, either swallow it in the car on my way back to work or swallow it once I got into the classroom because the bell would ring and the kids would start coming in. I quickly realized that eating off campus was the most inefficient waste of time, and instead I would bring a packed lunch, and if it needed to be microwaved, I had a microwave inside my classroom so I could heat it up right there and resume with my work or help students out if they were there. I could heat up my food really quickly in my classroom, and I can help students out if they needed assistance. And it was just a nice balance of time, in my opinion. The seventh social norm that I ditched was buying materials for my classroom. I feel a little guilty talking about this because I did spend quite a bit of money in my early years of teaching to decorate my entire classroom. But as the years went by, I kept those decorations. The bulletin boards, the bulletin borders, posters, anything that I could to get my hands on to decorate my classroom, I would just collect over time. And a lot of teachers that were retiring were leaving a bunch of posters and classroom decor behind, and I would use that to decorate my own classroom. So if you're a teacher or someone in a field where you have to decorate a room, find people who are retiring and get all the decor from them to save money. Our school had an annual budget of $250 for each teacher, and that's what I would spend to the penny. I would order pencils, printer paper, line paper, glue sticks, any items that I needed, staplers, pencil sharpeners, anything that I needed for the school year, I would order with that budget money, and I would not spend anything more out of my own pocketbook. That helped me stay on budget for the whole school year. As I got better at budgeting over the years and recycling materials, it worked out just fine. I was never in a situation where I didn't have what I needed, so everything was provided, and I'm grateful for that. The eighth social norm that I ditched was getting close and personal with my bosses and administrators. In the beginning of my career, I have to be honest, I did feel pressure to check in with the principal and ask him how they were doing and all this, that, and the third. But as the years went by, I could care less. Now, that's not to say that if they were walking the hallways, I wouldn't acknowledge them and say, hello, how's your day going? How are you doing? But that's about all the extent of our conversations. I didn't ever want to have to look back if I were promoted and say to myself, I was promoted because I was up in personal with this boss or this administrator. I didn't want there to be any kind of personal relationships with my bosses. I wanted them to do their job and me to do my own job. I found that the closer you got to somebody, the more you feel inclined to participate in their personal lives. For instance, if they have a birthday party, then I felt the need to be able to attend that because they were becoming close to me. So the less amount of people I have in my life who are close, the less I spend on birthday presents, going to their parties, and so forth. If you got any value out of this video, I would appreciate if you click the like button and subscribe to my channel to get more information regarding these topics. Thank you and have a nice day.